Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker, host of the Love You Even More podcast. I'm an author, speaker, 2-time Emmy Award winner, and entrepreneur. I'm a Jackie of all trades and a master of some. Each week, I bring on people from all walks of life to talk to them about their inspiring stories in the fields of self-development, relationships, business, and how you can love yourself even more. For more about me and the podcast, visit us at loveyouevenmore.com. Hey guys, I hope you are doing well this morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're getting around to listening to this. It's actually pretty early for me here. I woke up super early this morning to a really loud noise, and it was nothing but, when you're kind of half asleep and you hear something, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so jolting. So I was just awake and decided to just do some reading and catch up on things. And I felt really compelled to make this podcast and to really get this message out here, because it's something that I've been feeling for years, something I've been following, but I've never really talked about it. Not in a full podcast. It gets its own podcast. And don't mind me, I am literally drinking my tea and waking up. So the podcast I want to talk about is all about finding your person. And I know it's what we all want. Most of us want that. Most of us listening to this podcast want that. And it's something that feels difficult. And people talk about it all the time. It's so hard to date. It's so hard to get people to commit. Everybody's a narcissist, which, I don't completely disagree with. It's just so hard, right? And so what I'm seeing is the opposite effect, is that people are instead just not dating anymore. And I completely understand that, because I went through a long period where I really just wanted to be single. And, I'm sure you've heard this too, like the joys of being single. And I will absolutely account to that. It is peaceful. It is calm. It may be the first time in your life you've actually had peace. If you've come from a traumatic childhood, maybe you had emotionally immature parents, you had toxic family, you grew up with that, and then you get into your adult life, and naturally you're going to start picking people who feel familiar, and that was probably toxic as well. So, a lot of people are like, wow, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Everyone is so unavailable. Everyone's a narcissist. Everybody is playing games. Like, I don't want this. I just want to be loved. And I really hear you. Again, same boat. But recently I've been doing a lot of inner work, which, honestly, when am I not? But recently it's been, like a big peel of the onion came off. And I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. So I'd really like to address the being single and hoping that you'll meet the one and how to do that. So the one thing that really, really annoys me when I hear it from like dating coaches, and no offense to people who maybe this has worked for, this has just never been my feeling or theory, or it has never worked for me. But you'll hear this tag of just dating. It's all about numbers. Just date a bunch of people. Now, if you're young, yeah, do that. Do that. Date everybody. See what's out there. Really explore. But if you're not, and you've been around the block a few times and had a few serious relationships under your belt and some heartbreak, I would imagine, you don't necessarily need to be dating all kinds of people anymore. Maybe you don't need to be dating who you've dated in the past if they were toxic or not a good fit for you. But rather, it's time for you to go in and start doing your own work of, why am I choosing these people? And instead of being like, well, I'm just done dating, they have to find me, like, whatever. I'm just going to sit here on my couch and they'll show up, which again, I don't disagree with this theory. I've actually had people show up at my house and then I've dated them. It's amazing. But that's really not my point. My point is that it isn't about numbers. It's about you. Here's the point, guys, right? It's about you and where you're at that time in your life when you meet someone. So if you meet someone and you are burnt out and you are coming out of something toxic and you are not doing any kind of work, you're just like, I don't even want to think about this. I'm just going to like move on with my life. And everybody's just got to like take me for who I am, which you should be accepted for who you are. But there's a difference between, no, this is who I am, you just have to deal with it, versus this is who I am, this is who you are. Okay, let's like find a way to like blend our lives together. But if you really sit there and think like, I'm not going to do any work on myself, all you're doing by sitting on your couch hoping that someone will just show up is keeping yourself like in purgatory. Like you're not growing. The two ways that people grow the most are through self-development, therapy, inner work on their own, and self-development therapy and inner work with a relationship. Relationships are our biggest teachers. They're our biggest mirrors. So if you're not doing any work on yourself, or there's still more work to do, and you meet someone, they may reflect who you are at that time. Mostly they do. Okay, that's the rub, right? They just reflect who you are. And you could totally like disagree and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, I was happy and confident and doing really well. And then I met a narcissist. Okay, so here's the caveat. Narcissists love people who are doing really well and shining bright and being awesome. They're like, oh my God, you're a diamond and I want you because I hate myself and you will make me look better. And then you get in a relationship because they love bomb you and the whole thing. And then you're like, oh my gosh, they're so great. And then they start feeling inadequate again because you are so great that they need to bring you down and devalue you and discard you. And then you get out of it and you're like, what happened? Like, I was in such a good place. Like, how did I attract this, Jackie? You're saying that I'm attracting what I am? Okay. So that is the one caveat. You may have allowed the narcissist, again, this is just like one little piece of the story of the podcast of today. You may have attracted the narcissist because your self-worth may not have been at the place that it needed to be at the time. And perhaps after lots of terrible dating and rejection, someone wanted you, or they said, because they don't really want anybody, right? They're narcissists. They want themselves. They attracted you and were like, I want to commit to you. I want to love bomb you. You're the best thing ever. And you haven't felt that in a long time or ever. So you're like, wow, that's great. Yes, you're right. I do want that for myself. And you are reflecting what I want. So in a way, you did actually attract what you want, right? It just went down a toxic path. Now, if you haven't done enough self-worth work on yourself, you will continue to stay in that relationship. If you have done some work on yourself and you recognize, whoa, something feels weird, something feels off, like, what did you just say to me? In the beginning, I'm talking like date 2, date 3. If you feel something is off and they have said one little off comment, run, okay? Run. If they are laying it on thick and it is like intense already at date 2 or date 3, run. Okay. This is nothing to do with you. All it has to do with you is your level of self-worth. So there's my little caveat with narcissists. Okay. So the rest of us, right? And not that I'm us or them or either, I'm both, but for everyone else who's maybe not dealing with that and sitting on their couch being like, nope, just come to me. But you're doing the work. Yep. I'm liking this. And this is where I have been living. Now, I'm not the poster child for anything. I'm not trying to say that I'm some sort of role model or look up to me, but I have been around the block with a lot of serious long-term relationships and dating and being single and enjoying my singlehood. So I was single for like 5 years, maybe 4.5, something in that realm. And it was, like I said, the most peaceful time of my life because all I had experienced was either rejection in my 20s, major heartbreak, and then I got out of a horribly toxic narcissistic relationship and I just needed to chill out. I was like, this is crazy. I am so exhausted. I just want to relax. I just want to be peaceful. And I was, and that's what I needed. And I did a lot of work during that time and got to a really healthy place. And what happened? Men started to just show up in my life. Literally, people just started to show up in my life. Anytime I'd use a dating app, it was a disaster. So I was like, no more of these. Thank you very much. I do not do those. These people are crazy. Um, and no offense to anyone who's like, I'm just going to step on the dating app for like 5 seconds and like hope for something good. No, don't do it. Don't do it, because the people that are always on the dating apps are always there and you're just going to end up talking to them. And they're going to be crazy. No, just you do what you want to do, you guys. I'm just saying that's my experience. So I don't do dating apps. I literally just date in the wild. So here's the next really, really big point. And I've kind of already made it, but I really want to double down on this because this is why I woke up, got ready, and made this podcast today. When you meet the right person, you will be in your fullest, highest timeline of your life, the fullest expression of yourself. Maybe that doesn't mean you're a millionaire and you've got your dream job and, everything is just perfect and you're just gliding on a cloud every day. What it does mean is that you are there or you are really close. Like you're doing the work so well that it's just the universe knows, oh, this is who she is and is becoming. So great. And we recognize that she wants someone. So, okay, great. I'm going to bring someone in. And they will bring in someone that you feel that you deserve. Now, where you live on that deserving level, and deserve is the true key word here, will show up. So if you feel that you deserve someone who is healthy, available, kind, generous, someone you actually fall in love with, then that person will show up when you are ready for it. Because that's the thing. We only attract what we are. So with the narcissist thing, right? You could have been in a great place, as most of us were, and then that person shows up, and whatever parts of you that were unhealed, that's what's keeping them in your life because you haven't healed them and you're working them out through that person, through that toxic person. So once you really are done with that and you discard it, then you go and really start looking at what was that about me? What parts of me were still unhealed? We're still functioning from a 5-year-old's perspective or a 10-year-old's perspective or wherever your wounding happened, and then you really do that work. And in the meantime, as you're doing your work, you're working on yourself, you're doing self-care, you're doing a project, you're excelling at work, you're doing what makes you happy. And that is the most joyous time too, because you can sit on the couch and be like, you know what? I am awesome. And I really, really love myself. And I really love the woman or man I am becoming. And that person who will be my perfect partner will come in when it's time, like not a second later. And I truly, truly believe this. And so much so that you may have already met this person, but you didn't recognize them. And maybe they didn't recognize you because, and listen, like I really do believe in God, a higher power, whatever you subscribe to, I believe really knows the perfect time for like eyes to open to be like, oh my God, they were there the whole time. Not in like a rom-com situation, but like things happen at the timeline they're supposed to happen. So again, if you are sitting there and you're just like, oh, everyone's telling me I should be dating and I should be on the dating apps and I should just be like going on like 400 dates. Let me go on 100 dates this year. Don't listen to those people. If that doesn't feel right to you, then don't do it. If for some reason it does feel right to you, then do it. Maybe you need the experience. Maybe it's your time to get all of that experience. But honestly, like if you're feeling guilty because you're not out there dating as much, or you're just waiting to like meet people naturally like we used to, some of us older people used to, wait for it because it will come. Because I truly believe, and I have felt this for over a decade now, your person will show up at the time that is right, no matter what you look like or what your situation is, the only thing that really and I'm talking your real person, your life person, the person that you're supposed to like grow old with, God willing. They will show up no matter what you look like, where you're at, what's going on, if you have done the work inside and are continuing to do that work. I have seen this happen to me. I've seen this happen to other people. It's not a moment later. In fact, I have a best friend who had just gotten out of a very, very bad relationship. And she got immediately into like super deep therapy, much like your girl here, and was doing that work, ended up meeting her future husband weeks after. And they're actually the most beautiful fit for each other. So to give it more perspective, it doesn't mean, oh, you have to be completely healed. It means you have to be like really aware of what's happened and what is going on with you that needs to be healed and be doing that healing, like in process, like in therapy. I mean, she was in therapy like 3 times a week or something like intense. And so give yourself the space if you need some time. If you're like, I just don't want a relationship right now, that's great. I'm so glad that you know that, honor that. But if you have been single for a really long time and you're like, I don't understand what's going on here. What is it? What am I doing wrong? I would really urge you to look in and be like, is there some more that I can maybe dig upon? Are there some books I can read that could maybe trigger some stuff and like bring some stuff to the surface that maybe I didn't even think to look at or that I haven't looked at in a long time? Maybe I need a little refresher course. I'm reading 2 books right now that are just like ripping me wide open, and I'm like, ah. And it's hard, by the way. It's really hard when we start doing really heavy lifting work like that. You know, when you're really doing the work and it's like an everyday, not even a part-time job, it's like a full-time job because it's always with you. Your brain is always there. So if you're doing the work, just know that like the person is coming when the right time presents itself and not a second later. So I really just wanted to stress that today because it's something that I truly live my life by. And once in a while I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should just jump on a dating app and just check. And I'm like, no, I know better. For me, right? This is my experience, but I know it's a lot of others out there as well. But it really is about following your intuition, following your gut. If your gut is like, no, I just need some me time now, then that is what you need. If your gut is like, I'm so sad, I really, really want my person, and it probably is time. But if you're not meeting them, I really challenge you to start doing some more work on yourself to like examine what parts of your shadow self haven't been brought up to the surface yet. Because maybe some of those blocks, just like manifesting, manifesting your partner, bringing in your partner, all the things I'm talking about are manifesting, right? If you have a block to what you want, it's not coming because your belief is truly, I won't have that because I don't deserve it, or I'm not worthy, or whatever block it is, it's there. So it's keeping you from that thing or person. So that is my podcast for today. I just abruptly end. I hope that this resonated with some of you. I hope that helped some of you feel a little bit better about not rushing out to be dating or being on the apps or feeling like you need to be desperate to meet your person. You really don't. You really, really don't. I'm going to give one more example because this is the last relationship I was in. Again, I was in a beautiful spot in my life, a really beautiful spot. And, I was at a party and someone was like, how are you single? I'm like, thanks, LA. And they're like, no, 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 I'm going to set you up with someone. Now, these people were matchmakers, and I have had a very strong feelings. I've had feelings that I've never really wanted to work with a matchmaker. I'd had so many approach me, and this just felt icky. It always felt icky. I felt like a piece of meat. I felt like a trophy wife. I felt like these men are just paying for women. And in a way, they are. Sorry, guys who might be matchmakers. There's like one that I know that is like legitimately like a good person, or maybe two. But like, I think it comes from a good place, matchmaking most of the time or some of the time. But I think that they are still running a business. So I was matched with someone and it was, a terrible experience. It was a terrible experience, but I should have and I did, by the way, just to like put this in there, that matchmaker hounded me for almost a month. And I had just come off a dating app and I was like, I can't stand this. Fine, match me with someone. And then I ended up with another narcissist. So I was like, I should have just followed my gut and been like, no. Now I will also give that caveat with you learn a lot. And I'm very grateful for that relationship on a lot of different levels. But there was a lot of it that I feel I could have saved myself from. And I did try to get out of it as quick as possible. It is hard to get out of narcissistic relationships, as we know, people who are listening. But I did, and I'm much better and everything's okay now. But yeah, like listen to your gut. Listen to your gut. If you feel like it's time to meet someone, do that work if you're not meeting them. If you are doing the work and you still feel like it's time, I'm pretty sure they're right around the corner, to be honest. So enjoy this time being alone and hogging the bed. And if you are sitting on your couch, feeling really angry or depressed or bitter or any of that, please, I really urge you to start working with a coach. I'm available, a therapist. I'll be available as a therapist in a couple years. But someone, really start reading those books that are going to help you really undo your blocks to love. Because, when we have a lot of blocks and we have a lot of trauma, all you really want is to be loved, right? You just want to be loved unconditionally for who you are. And if that just keeps not happening and you keep finding yourself in toxic situations in any which way, that is because on some level you're allowing them in and they are being attracted to you. You're most likely a very sweet, empathetic person, and darkness likes light. So to stop making that cycle happen, again, do the work. This is a podcast to basically do the work on yourself and get into your highest alignment, and your person will show up. Ooh. Well, if that sneeze wasn't confirmation enough, I think we have reached the end of this podcast. If you would like to work with me, feel free to reach out. I am always available. And I just hope this helps. I hope this resonated. I felt really compelled to do this podcast today. And I really hope that you guys take it and use it. And here's to finding love.